2 years in a row as the best, most fuel-efficient range extender hybrid. So we do have a system, but it's not about a system alone. It's about how do you industrialize the system to make it commercially viable. And the fact is, hybrid cars are expensive. Why is it expensive? The battery today is more expensive, but over time, people say the battery will go down by 30% in the next 2 years. So inshallah, when the car is ready, I would like to be the first to tell you that you can buy a hybrid car Proton in the showroom in Malaysia in 2013. Brazil market, yeah, I know, I'm just excited like Shah, I have so many stories about Brazil. More important is the Mardi Gras in Brazil, but I don't know, it's a very big, sensitive, and risky market in my mind. I think we have, I don't know, today, cash about 1.4 billion ringgit. We have about 700 engineers. Where do you put the money? You put the money where you think you can succeed. And Brazil, in my mind, is so remote, you have to take 2 flights to get to Brazil. If you're lucky, you miss a flight connection, you're stuck in an airport. You cannot reach the customer. It's a different DNA altogether. At least we have more chance to be successful in ASEAN. We have now a partner in China. Bilateral relationship with the 2 prime ministers, I think, is at its best. We have India, when both our Prime Minister and Manmohan Singh is trying to push bilateral trade, and before long we're going to go to a free trade agreement with India. And we have Middle East within the OIC network. Is that enough? I think that's enough. I mean, that's what, half of the population of the world. So I think we need to spare and manage our resources effectively. But one day, if the opportunity works, and I would like to, I've never been to Brazil, and I was supposed to Brazil to go at the last race of Formula 1, but inshallah next year, maybe we'll go, because there is a party in Brazil that has invited us to come by, but we told them that that's not our party today. Yes, I think I've answered all the 5 questions.
Is there a question?
Maybe I'm the last one. I'm just interested, why, what about the Chinese consumer market that Exora and Persona was chosen?
What about it?
Exora and Persona was rebatched with Youngman, right?
No.
Sorry.
The rebadge car for Youngman was the Gen 2 and the Persona.
Gen 2 and Persona.
But the one that we're going to do is the Exora, and the new car that we'll see in March, that's going to be the one that we're working with Watai.
Okay, what about Exora and Gen 2? Sorry, what about Persona and Gen 2?
It's been sold today in China. Our partners are producing it, and for every car that they produce, we get about $125 royalty. For every engine that they produce and sell, we get about 50.
Dato, my question was, why those cars in China? What about the Chinese consumer preference? What about Chinese consumer preference that you chose those cars?
Okay. I think that car was chosen by our partner, and when the car was chosen by our partner, obviously we tried to find out what are the biggest segment, and today the biggest segment in China is the A, B, and C segment. And the Persona and the Gen 2 then was in the B, C segment. So we went and brought the car in China, they did a market survey among all our products at that point in time. This was again 4 years ago, and that seems to be the car that they like. So again, a market-driven approach, that's what the car that we gave. And today, alhamdulillah, and it's been produced out of 2 factories. And I mean, it's you don't see the cars, in Beijing. I drove in Shanghai the other day, I saw, our Gen 2 there, and it's not a Gen 2, it's a rebatch, Gen 2 with a Youngman brand.
Dato Seri, I have one question from Twitter.
Twitter?
Yes. And the question is, are you not worried about the decrease of quality by outsourcing to China and exporting from China? And how will this affect your brand equity?
Well, I think, yes, good question. I wonder what is in the mind of people like Volkswagen and GM now that they're building cars out of China and exporting out from China. I think that answers by itself. China has now come of age. It's a question of what kind of process you do and what kind of discipline that you put. China has the capability to be the best in class. Mark my word, one day, when they get the act together and organized, they will be a world beater in everything that they want to do. The Chinese government put a mind to it, it will happen. But they're just too busy today, with all the issues that they have today, like any other economy. But I don't think that's a concern. I mean, obviously, we will be putting the best stringent quality standards. But if people China suppliers are good enough to supply to Volkswagen, Toyota, I mean, who are we to doubt? And Chinese OEM are going outside too. Yes, they have issues today because they are studying and employing and learning about engineering. But the Volkswagen, I mean, the Chevrolet Seri, for example, the car by Chevrolet that's designed in China today, they'll be exported out of China for global ban. And I have faith, but obviously you have to talk to the right suppliers. There are good and bad suppliers. Similar here in Malaysia, there are good and bad suppliers too. So we have to be very prudent and very clear in our approach. But I believe, there's no brand equity. Today, dulu ingat kan, Jepun, kereta Jepun mana orang kata Timilo. People laugh about Korean cars, Korean products. Where is Samsung today? I mean, we laugh today about China, and one day they'll be laughing at us. Malaysia, tak nak beli pun. I mean, that's, the order of the day. Technology do evolve, people do evolve, and people do technology. But let's not, look down, on this perception issue. I think the reality is you're going to have to go down to the floor, to the market. I think the time will come. People will go and adapt and accept Chinese brand, product. Not today maybe, but over time. One last question maybe. I don't want to take from my good friend Dato John.
Minta maaf, sorry for this late question. I just want to ask about how positive, investment in Proton, investing in ITS, Intelligent Transportation System. This is what BMW is doing in Europe and Asian countries as well. And I think you've already signed an MOU on a company doing telematics. And in my perception, our company owns the knowledge for smart tags. And we'll be trying to do a built-in smart tags with the Proton parties, but it has been on deaf ears for quite a while now. So I just want to get a perception on Proton on how innovative you guys would like to be. Thank you.
A very good question, and allow me to address and perhaps as the last answer question. Today, I am advocating to my people, the company, that we don't build cars anymore. What do you do? Before, the answer is yes, we'll manufacture cars. Today, if anybody asks you, we are mobility solution providers. Think again. The answer is put in two different perspectives. We are mobility solution providers. We make solutions to move people around. We are embarking on a project today with Prasanarana to build what we call GIF, intelligent mobile systems. With study have shown, I have done it myself. I took a car from my house to go to LRT. I park my car in LRT. I'll take from Subang Jaya, go to KS Central, and take the train to go to Ampang. I have a meeting at the station. It's about 10 minutes away. I wait for about 10 minutes to take a taxi, and obviously I'm not going to take the bus. That gap is an opportunity. So we are trying to work with the Malaysian government and Prasarana to put an intelligent car, and the best ideal car is a EV car that you can use, person like you, with a smart tag, RFID, prepaid, pre-designated with a PIN card, that can go and start the car without having to have a key. You then go in the car, imagine this, you want your suit, you've got a bag, you don't want to wait for a taxi, you want to be the master of your own destiny. The cars are parked at the LRT station, you go into a car, you drive, you park your car, and because it's a green car, you get privileged parking. You go to your meeting, 1 hour, you come back, you park your car at the LRT, you only pay for what you use. And that is banking into your smart tag and paid by Maybank to you, or whatever the case may be. You go back to LRT, you go back to your little LRT Subang, I take my car and I go home. I have a peace of mind. That is providing mobility solution to the people in the country. And that's work in progress. So the point I'm trying to make is we need to shift our mind, thinking a car as a car, a piece of junk, a metal that will fade. It is to provide solution. And today, I think by next year, I believe we are going with 4G. Most of our cars will be equipped with 4G. We're collaborating with Yes and Foxtron. So, I mean, these are many things. And one day I spoke to Dato Maidin. I want to have a car for housewife. You just plug a menu, you say shopping menu number 1, tekan butang. You go to Maidin, your grocery will be ready, put in your car, and you walk away. No parking. Technology provides that solution now. You like it, right, ladies in front? You don't like it? The two ladies in front. You think that's good? You never go shopping. But it's a different concept of providing cars today. And that was not available yesterday, but it's available today. Question is how do we crystallize and link all this digital system, the telematics that we have today, to create value to us, the consumer. And I believe there is a solution that we can provide. Inshallah, I don't know. And this is just what we call mega trend thinking, and I've said, and I look at all the internet. We have a consultant that came to the board and said, these are the mega trends of the future. So who knows? So, but I believe in the ability of Malaysians as always, and inshallah, God willing, we will get there one day. So again, thank you. I think I've get too much time. Thank you for your time, and I hope this has been rewarding to you as it to me. Sekian. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Ladies and gentlemen, we've come to the end of the third Young Corporate Malaysian Summit 2011. To give the closing keynote speech, we shall invite the man who has year on year given a lot of support to young corporate Malaysians in his capacity as the honorary advisor. Let's invite to the stage Dato Seri Johan Raslan, the Executive Chairman of PricewaterhouseCoopers Malaysia.
Thank you very much, Suhana. Excellent MC. Getting better all the time. So soon you'll be doing other things. But it's a great skill. I know he's just left the room, but I shall start by thanking YCM founder, Chairman Wan Firdaus, the conveners of YCM, of whom there are many and far too many to mention. I dare not mention in case I leave out somebody and then get in trouble. Thank you all for inviting me to. I'm a baby boomer after all, you know, and you're all Gen Ys. Well, almost all Gen Ys out there. And to close off this premier gathering, I would say, as far as I'm concerned, of Gen Y executives in Malaysia. And I must say, you all have stamina. Very good. I mean, I don't know whether it's a different shift from the lot that started the morning and then they all gone back to sleep and then you sort of come in the afternoon, but I suspect it's a lot of the same people. I think you're pretty good. And I'll tell you a secret, I have amazingly short attention span. So when I am at the beginning of a conference, I would never be at the end. So this is lovely to be at the end of a conference like this. Someone said, how you start is important, but it's how you finish that counts. Speed is less important than stamina. Now, you've heard from Dr. Rahana at the beginning, Wall Street Journal and Jude Blanchett on China. Excellent session, I thought. Nachel, my good friend, also from KLBC before, and Mohit, and my clients, Shah Hakim and Dr. Sri Syed Zainal, about going into India and China. You've heard from them, and I must say the analysis that we get nowadays is so superior to what would have been available to us in a forum like this just 5 years ago. And that all comes from them getting in there and actually making the mistakes. You know, there's hundreds of millions of ringgit probably, lost in the course of getting this knowledge. But I think that's the name of the game. You have to make mistakes. Add to that, of course, what Rohana tried to bring up was Indonesia, and I will mention Vietnam as well in ASEAN. And so yes, this is the Asian century. So it should be easy for us. A380s are just going to fly into KL full of free money for all of us. Unfortunately, it's not going to be that easy. Jawaharlal Nehru said, we live in a wonderful world that is full of beauty, charm, and adventure. There is no end to the adventures that we can have if only we seek them out with our eyes open. The trouble is, and this is not just a Gen Y thing, this is my baby boomer thing, and Gen X's were the same, and people around the world are the same. Much of our life is actually spent avoiding adventure, avoiding risk, and trying to stay inside our comfort zones. But we have to compete if we're going to reap the dividend of the Asian century. We've got to earn it, and whilst Dato Rahana is right, that Malaysia is in this geographical and English-speaking sweet spot at the center of everything, that being where we are is just not going to be enough. We have to get out there. And that means you, ladies and gentlemen, not just Dato Sri Syed Zainal and my glamorous client, Shah Hakim. When that Indonesia, at the granular level, when that Indonesia or Beijing assignment comes up, you got to grab it. You can't just say, oh, I've done my overseas thing. I was in London, or I was in New York, or I was in Sydney or Melbourne. I've done that. You have to grab those assignments. My firm has at any one time 2 or 3 teams of Malaysians in India. There's just so much going on there. All of them could say no. And by the way, they're mostly non-ethnic Indians. So mostly they're Malay or Chinese or others. And they're mostly women, by the way. They could say no, but they say yes, and they learn a huge amount from it. André Malraux, a French guy, once said, often the difference between a successful person and a failure is not that one has better abilities or skills or ideas, but the courage that one has to bet on one's ideas and take a calculated risk and act. Think of NASA, SCOMI, AirAsia, our Merdeka generation, all out of the comfort zone. Oh, I mentioned women. Women and men. I'll tell you a secret. Just my theory that actually women are more adventurous than men. By the way, how many women in the hall? Can I just see some hands? Okay. Is that all? Okay, so like half-half, I think. I just get like, if I'm going to say something positive about women, they're all men, then they're all angry with me. And I'm not just saying this because 2/3 of PwC is made up of women, but it's true. We have this thing called Project Ulysses, which is for people about to become partners. So fairly old or senior, if you like. And this is for partners. They have to go into some God-forsaken country, or part of a country which is really horrendous. Madagascar. I must not name country, I get in trouble. But pretty tough places, helping NGOs with free consulting advice for 2 or 3 months at a time, living in some horrendous hovel. In the heat, there's no aircon, there's no driver, there's no mall, there's no nothing, no electricity often. And, we often approach a partner or director and we say, hey, how about you? I think it's your turn, but you'll be good for you, it will help you. And, when I look back at the names that have gone, they're all names like Jennifer, Francis, Rani, Trisam. And there's one Sri, it's a guy, there's one guy, and there's like all these 4 or 5 or 6 women that have been, I think, from Malaysia. The guys, what happened? We did offer to the guys. We're not sex biased here in PwC. We are very, balanced. They all ran a mile. Do you know that? They ran a mile, the guys. They're the same age, the same everything as the girls. They didn't want to get out of the comfort zone so much, I suspect. I'm sure they had all good reasons. But, they wanted to be around. The promotion was coming up. They wanted to, do all the things you got to do. The women, well, they got promoted too. So it's good to see so many women here, I must say. Now, it's very strange that we started off this morning with Dato Rahana. You invited her separately to open your summit. She's the founding president of the Kuala Lumpur Business Club, which is a networking organization. And then Wan Firdaus asked me to close it. And I took over as KLBC president earlier this year, in addition to my day job as PwC chairman. So I guess it's important that I stress just now the power of networking to you in building your personal success and your personal brand. A network, it's just a web of friendships. And these are increasingly important to get on and get ahead in the world today. My partners in PwC think it's important to link PwC always with networks of like Musca in Australia, a student organization, or SEC, which is Chris Stock's latest venture in Malaysia, UKC itself in the UK, YCM, and Teach for Malaysia, and I think I saw Kieran here earlier. Part of it is for recruitment. I'll admit that, right? Join PwC today. But, you know, I got to get real, you know, let's get real. You guys, when we set up a stall up here, we're not expecting thousands of people to join PwC because you have already got great careers. And that's really why we want to be here. I want my PwC young colleagues to come back with 20 or 30 cards of similar young people who are from other organizations. Otherwise, they would not meet. Because I want them to have friends, friends like Eula, who are motivated enough to get up in the morning on a Saturday when you could be down at KLCC or Pavilion, you know, looking at members of the opposite sex or whatever you do on a Saturday. But you'd rather come here and spend the whole day listening to stuff about India and China and stuff like that. Because I think that you are the movers and shakers of tomorrow. And I want all of you to make these networks and then to call each other up, go for coffee, send each other articles from The Economist or Harvard Business Review, a tip there, these are good to read, or whatever it takes to sustain that network. Because I'll tell you something, it's very strange. Firdaus, Chris Talk and I, we talk all the time. Rahana, Firdaus and I, we talk all the time. And we DM each other, we call each other, we BBM each other. And can you believe that? You know, two baby boomers, two Gen Ys, different walks of life, Kelantan, Perak, you know, we come from different places. And how would I know, people like Chen Chow, Ilyas, Aiman, all these people, if it were not for YCM? And we talk because we add value to each other. Not just for friend's sake or to, it's not all one way. We add value in all ways, both ways really. So, women and men, use YCM's impeccable network. Grow that thick skin that Dr. Rahana talked about. That's very important as well. I tell you, I'm a very shy, inward person. I don't naturally go to parties, whatever. But I've taught myself